Are you looking for an escape from manufactured truth wrapped in selfish agenda? Don't you just want to have a real and raw conversation, all masks and rules aside? That's what you're getting here at Titan Evolution Podcast. Get rid of all the nonsense information and discuss everything under the sun without filters. Listen to real stories of real people who will put your current perspectives to the test, guide you on living the life you truly want, and see everything free from judgment and pretenses. Time to get rid of those unhealthy environments and let your authentic self shine. Here are your hosts, Travis Johnson and Carol Carpenter.
Hey, welcome back to the show. We're here today with my co-host Carol and our guest Otis. Otis, how are you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing great, man. It is Colorado summer. Just had a thunderstorm, and now the sun is out. Don't get no better than that.
No, it certainly does not. Otis is a retired Lieutenant Colonel Green Beret. He is the CEO of Triumph and Purpose, and he's the co-host of the Cam and Otis Show. We just love the heck out of you, despite your best attempts to sabotage that relationship.
I keep dropping you off out at some farm somewhere, and you keep wandering your way back. I don't know.
Can't get rid of him, huh? He's kind of like a bad rash. You want to get rid of him, but he keeps coming back.
Yep. Putting ointment on him, and it just don't work.
I actually have an ointment story.
Oh God, here we go.
My wife shared from her working in the pharmacy. It's not pleasant, but I'm going to share it anyway because that's the show. The show is unfiltered, illicit, and no holds barred. So a gal comes in, gets treated for, she's looking at a rash and a yeast infection. They give her a pill and a cream, and they come in the next day, husband's flipping shit because, like, what did you do to her nether regions? They're like, what are you talking about? Well, she came in for a yeast infection, and you gave her this cream. The cream was for the rash on her arm. What'd you do? Well, we need more cream. They used the entire tube of cream in the wrong area of the body. Did you even take the pill for the yeast infection? Here's the deal. You can lead a horse to water. You can't make them drink, but you sure as heck can stand on their head until they drown or drink.
Yep.
Didn't the pharmacist not take the time to explain, take the pill for the yeast infection and the cream?
It was on there. It was listed exactly what it was for.
Oh,
and they asked, do you have any questions? They said no. Turns out they misspoke. They had tons of questions because the next day's events made it terrible. But we're not here to talk about rashes today. Let's be honest, get some ointment and leave me alone. That's about all you can do for rashes. Otis, I want to know, since this is the Titan Evolution Podcast, what makes you a Titan?
Good question. Drive, desire to help people, and probably a no-quit, hard-headed attitude.
I can definitely vouch for the hard-headed part. It's so full disclosure, people that are seeing this for the first time, Otis and I have known each other for over a year. We both have military service. We're both in an elite group of amazing people that we're all three involved in, and we've had just a ton of info. Like every week or 2 or 3 times a week, like we've chatted with each other. I've been on your show, you've been on my show, my other show, and like there's a lot of history there already. 1 year,
there's some history. Yes,
1 year is probably too much already.
Yeah, but don't you think that week in the mastermind pretty much got everybody even closer? Even if you knew Otis before, I'm sure you really got to know him a lot more intimately. And please do not take that in the wrong way and go with it, Travis. I meant this in a very innocent way, okay?
Look, if you listen to our last episode with Mario, we know you're the one with the dirty mind. So I don't know why you're trying to flip it on.
Yeah, we did end it with the dirty mind. But by the way, you guys threw up the softball, FYI.
We did. We totally did. But I love Otis for a lot of reasons. One is one of the reasons that we invite him on, because he's a real person. He's going to be real with you. He's not going to allow BS to slide. Will there be some BS? There will be some BS. But the real true BS that doesn't belong and has no, like you lying to yourself, Otis doesn't let you get away with that shit.
No, I hate that.
Tell us what
you're
you're
not
building.
authentic. Get out. Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, but I
inauthentic, you know.
think too, Otis, don't you come from the generation, and I'm, not too far behind from you either. I mean, honestly, we're about the same age. So aren't we from that generation where there's no excuses? I mean, you have to take ownership regardless, right? There was no, oh, hey, this is my excuse for this time. This is my excuse. It's like, no, fuck, take ownership and man up.
Yeah. Well, and I've often thought about that and had to bite my tongue many, many times of just quit your fucking bitching.
Yep.
Put your boots on and let's go. Shut
Yep.
up. Quit it. I mean, I get in trouble now if I say those sort of things, but that's
Yeah.
okay. That's who I am.
It's not PC anymore, is it?
No, well, there's like I said, there are some badness to that. Some of the things that guys that have followed behind me I've had to deal with, and in the Green Berets, and what it's done, and some of those guys because they kept that attitude, unfortunately made some poor decisions, and they ain't with us anymore. In that sense, that's the extreme of it, but that's the bad side to it of the bottled up. But there's a whole lot of other times where it's just quit your fucking whining and get to work. I mean, it really is, the woe is me, oh, I just need a rest. It's the weekend, so I just need some time off. It's been a really tough week, or I need to sleep late because I was in the Navy for 20 years. And, so I just get up when I feel like it now, because I had a really tough career flying airplanes. I just get your ass out of bed.
Well, if I had something to look forward to, I'd probably have no problem getting out of bed.
Oh,
That was a personal jab from Otis, right to the jaw. Since I've been retired, I haven't woken up to an alarm clock, and I am fantastic with it. But Otis has something early in the morning he wants me to come to, and sometimes I'm awake, and sometimes I remember that we had it scheduled after I wake up, and he's not okay with that. Well, really, it's not on my schedule. It's not scheduled in my calendar. Send me a calendar invite that I can set an alarm for.
Yeah,
I forget. Every time I get a message, I'm like, oh yeah, that was this week. I forget.
I'll just say this. I'm thankful that you do not have the wake up early disease. I will just let you know that I am very happy for you that you do not have that.
I wish I could wake up later too. Well, how nice would it be to just get up a few hours later and feel much more energized? Do you have the internal time clock that just basically, or the internal alarm, I should say, that just gets you up regardless, and you're just like, okay, regardless of how late you went to bed, right?
Yep.
See, I suffered from that when I was still active duty, but since I retired, I've gotten over that thing. Maybe it's because I only did 22 years instead of 25 years. Maybe
that was it. Those last three were critical.
The last three is what got you. I don't know, because I had no problem. I had no problem at any of my time, at any point during my military service, getting up at whatever time they had set for me. But somehow I'm in retirement, like I do not give a rip. I do not schedule anything before 10 a.m. And I don't think I ever will, because I don't have to. So, hey, tell us a little bit about Tribe and Purpose, what it is, why you started that, and what you're trying to do with it.
And by the way, also tell us how you came up with the name.
That's a lot to remember. That's like three things. So, well, first off, what we're doing with Tribe and Purpose, it's about helping people understand what their purpose is and living life with intention. So living life with intention in pursuit of your purpose is what we do. That's part of it. The other part of it is you don't get anywhere. You don't have any success, any enjoyment or fulfillment in life unless you have other people around you. And when you have a tribe around you, people that you can count on, people that you can rely on, people that will tell you, they will call you out and say, hey, did you do that? Did you do that thing you said you were going to do? Why didn't you do that thing you said you were going to do? And when we as humans have that in our mind, we're in that mode of, oh, I don't want to let Travis down, because I know Travis, that guy's going to call me up and he's going to give me shit because I didn't get it done. So I better stop this BS stuff that I'm doing right now and get it done. And when we do that, and we have the people around us to celebrate, the people around us to help, that's when we have success that we want. They got to be like-minded people. They got to be people in that tribe that want to help others, that want to see others succeed, live in that life of abundance. But you just can't do it on your own. I don't care who you are. I don't care whether you're Elon Musk, Steve Jobs, you name all the Bezos. They all got somebody, they all got a team around them helping them.
Well, Mario talked about that too.
Yeah.
Surrounding yourself with like-minded individuals, because you can't, it is a very lonely path.
It is. If you want to go far, the African proverb, which I almost messed up, the African proverb, and I hate that it's just a African proverb, but I haven't been able to find any further origin of it. But if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
Yeah.
So if you want that big, quick, fast win, then you go right ahead. But see what it's like the next day by yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
I tell you, I feel that at the grocery store, right? If I go with my son, I just tell him, he's 14. I say, hey, we're going to speed run this. We're going to run and get all this stuff and get out of here like under 10 minutes, go. Well, I can do that fast either alone or with him. But if my wife's there, we can go far, but man, is it not quick at all. Like, you can't go quick through the grocery store when you've got a whole crew of people with you. You can go far, but not fast.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And then you asked me how we came up with the name. Truthfully, I was chatting with a good friend of mine, and we'd been chatting off and on, like every couple of weeks or so for about an hour or so every couple of weeks over a 3-4 month period. And he's a branding guy, and he called me out because the business used to be named LTO Enterprises, which is great if you're a consultant business in the government contracting space, because that sounds pretty powerful, right? LTO Enterprise.
Right. But what did it stand for? LTO.
LTO, listen to Otis.
Oh.
Unofficially, that was what it stood for, because the kids, when Facebook first came out, and I've never been on Facebook to see if it's still there, created a Facebook page that was Listen to Otis, and they would grab some quotes and things. Maybe Travis is that kind of guy that will look and see.
He's going to go look it up. Yeah. I'm
looking it up right now.
I can tell.
And the kids were at that age where it was really fun for like a week or two, and then I don't think they put anything else on it. So,
well, it's just like whenever you get, they want a pet or something, and it's like, oh, the first 2 weeks are gung ho. After that, they lose interest because it's actually work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that was the name of the business. And my friend, the branding guy, Ethan, he's like, dude, your business name sucks. Let's talk. And we kept chatting, and then in like the third month or so, it was like, boom, what about Tribe and Purpose? I mean, literally both of us, it just kind of hit both of us the same.
I love it. Just FYI, I love it. And I have your hat, but I think I took it to my boyfriend's house and was wearing it up in Canada, so I left it there. So I'm like, I'm so bummed because I searched everywhere for it because I was going to wear it during this.
The Canadian Border Patrol they're going to confiscate it when you try to come back in.
Probably.
Wouldn't surprise me in the least.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's, I mean, it was, some discussions of, some things I had done, in the Green Berets, and one of the things that I think was like probably the linchpin, is we in a larger community, special ops, referred to the special ops groups that were doing work in Afghanistan as different tribes. We referred to them as the tribes.
Oh, interesting.
And which it was very much like that. And we that was when it like snapped
Right.
when that
Yeah.
memory came to be. Yeah.
Yeah, I love the name. Absolutely love the name.
Thanks. Yeah, it's
So-
grown on me. I like it too, because it actually says what the hell we do, as opposed
Exactly.
to
Yeah.
LTO Enterprises, which is what everybody else should be doing. Listen to Otis.
So I looked it up. Listen to Otis is still a Facebook page.
Oh my
Last
gosh.
entry, January 19th, 2016. Straightforward is a relative term thrown around by people that wave their hand at the ground and never pick up a shovel and dig the hole. Listen to Otis.
That's surprising that 2016, there's that new of an entry. Wow. There you go.
I mean, that was 6 years ago.
Yeah,
Probably
but
when
we're
you still
talking
had
like,
color in your mustache.
not
Oh,
much.
geez. Just
He had a red mustache in the pictures I saw online.
I did.
really?
Yes.
Yeah, it was red all the
What
way
if you
down.
were a
It was pretty
redhead?
cool. Right about there. I had the just the bottom was gray.
Oh, just like oh, really? That's funny.
Actually, I had some people ask me if I dyed it because it was so balanced like that. But
My son's a redhead, so imagine a redheaded Asian mixed child, right? So what do we call him? Ginger Asian. Poor kid.
yeah.
It's got to be tough. I know you started Tribe and Purpose, and it's probably because you had some frustrations. What were those frustrations that drove you to create this thing?
Well, what I did when I retired from the Army, I had my plan was to get a job, which is damn near the worst plan you can have.
Worst
Uh,
plan ever.
The worst plan you can have is to do nothing. That probably would have been better. I probably would have been more satisfied with do nothing than get a job. And the way I like to refer to that is that put me on a path of wandering the job desert for 7 years. I never lacked jobs, but I never liked the jobs. I never liked the people I was with. The people were okay, but the culture, the organization, the values never aligned with me, and I didn't understand what was going on. I just knew that the two lessons I learned from two of my former NCOs right before I retired were I can say no and I can quit, and it's okay to do both. You have to face the consequences if you do those, but nobody's coming. The sheriff's not coming to arrest you because you're AWL. You're not getting thrown in jail for not obeying an order. So I had those two, and I told bosses if they wanted me to do something, I said, nah, I've got a rugby game or kid's birthday or my wife and I have plans. I'm not going to do that. You want me to go the next week? Sure, I'll do that. So I'd say that, and then when these companies, and every one of them are great companies, no ding on any of the companies I work for. They're all great companies and great people that work there, but they didn't align with me, didn't align with my values and who I am and what I wanted to do. And I didn't know that. And it wasn't until, a moment of clarity in the home office here one summer afternoon. It's been 7 years now, where I was like, who am I feeling? I was literally having yet another day of feeling sorry for myself. And something that day clicked in the fact that I realized that since leaving the Army, only two things in my life had been consistent: my family and rugby. Because right after I retired from the Army, I started coaching boys high school rugby. And I asked myself, well, why was I quitting all these jobs that paid me and still doing this job that took all the extra hours and didn't pay me anything? Matter of fact, cost me a lot of money. And as I looked at that, I realized, it was being their coach. It was being their coach that really was fulfilling me. It was teaching, mentoring, guiding, challenging those young men, holding them accountable. And I started to do some research, talk to some friends, talk to people in my network about what it is, how to do it. Made a conscious choice not to become a professional rugby coach at that point in my life.
Good call.
Yeah, probably a really good call. And shifted my consulting business into leadership and business coaching. And that's what I've been doing ever since. And it's awesome. You know, the other thing it's given me the opportunity to do is give back to my veteran tribe, our veteran tribe. You know, I coach soon to be vets through a couple of organizations, the Commit Foundation and the Honor Foundation, help these men and women figure out what they're going to do so they don't suffer the same frustrations that I do. I challenge them. I hold them accountable. I tell them, I ain't telling you how to do it. I'm not giving you a checklist. You got to figure this shit out. I'm going to give you some tools. I'm going to give you some direction, ask you some hard questions to make you start thinking. And when they wrap up, they have confidence in what they're going to do and where they're going to go and what time to set their alarm in the morning. So
See, I know that was a dig. I'm aware that was a dig. It doesn't bother me at all. I know it was a dig, but I wanted to say, so you touched on something there that I really feel is extremely valuable. You said that you wouldn't give them the answers. And in my leadership career, my path through all these different positions, I really frustrated a lot of people in the military because I wouldn't give them the answer. And I was under the assumption that I could give them the answer today, but tomorrow they would either know the answer or not know the answer. And if they didn't know the answer, they would come back to me. And then I was training them to come to me with all their problems, which I don't have time for. So a lot of business leaders that I'm talking to, there's a question that I ask them, and it's right in line with not giving them the answers. Are you robbing the world, society, civilization of the next big innovation because you're telling your employees what to do or telling them how you did it instead of letting them figure it out on their own?
Yeah, that's a great way of looking at it. I mean, I take that one step further, and in the sense of you know, the knowledge I've got here, if I'm not teaching, sharing, and mentoring that with others, I'm being a selfish son of a bitch. I mean, so if I'm not developing the people in my team to take over my job, that means I'm insecure in my job and who I am. I should be teaching, mentoring, and showing them how to do what I do so that I can continue on up or continue to grow, or the business can scale. You know, as long as you're holding it and you're telling people exactly how you want it done, then they're going to sit around and wait for you to tell them how to do it every time a problem comes up. Or like you said, Travis, when something comes up, they're going to go talk to Lieutenant Commander Johnson and figure out, see, because I don't know, you know, we don't know how to do it. We got to ask the boss how to do it. We got to, right? I mean,
well, they don't ever learn how to think for themselves. They don't know how to problem solve, and you want them to problem solve. You don't want to sit there and, you know, give them a blueprint every single time. Oh, do A, B, and C, figure it out. And you know what? If you fail, good. At least you try.
But you have to be willing to accept that failure too, as the leader.
Yeah, you have to give them that responsibility, that ownership of it. Whatever they come back with, you've got to praise them. You've got to show them that, hey, good job taking a look at this. Have you considered this in your calculations as you're doing this up? Oh, you know, I haven't looked at that. I might try to do that. You can't criticize them, especially in the first couple of weeks. You have to praise only and then ask if they've considered things. The only way they're going to come to it is on their own discovery and their own volition. And I love training people, for one, to teach them how to think so I don't have to do it. A lot of my success has come through laziness or selfishness.
I almost said that, but I was just going to be so nice and keep my mouth shut over here.
Don't you dare be nice to me,
so
Carol. Don't you dare be. Like, people are like, man, you are doing a great job. You're being a phenomenal. You're training all these people to do it. I am, because I don't want to be the only one that gets called in at the middle of the night. I want someone that's already there qualified to do it. Or I want to go on vacation and I can't go on vacation because none of these other clowns are qualified. I'm going to get them qualified so I can enjoy time with my family. Right. Or I don't want the shop, the office, the command, the whatever to fail when I walk out the door because I'm holding all the keys to the kingdom. I remember distinctly, I was an E5 and getting ready to leave the squadron to go teach, to go do some instructor duty. And I had 2 proteges that was like, all right, guys, the show's going to be all yours here in a few months. Here's the deal. You guys are going to run it. I'm going to be here if you have any questions. I'm going to do the things, but you guys are going to be in charge. You guys are going to be running it. And, I'll be the safety net while you're still here. And it wasn't a couple days in, they were pissed at me because it looked like I wasn't doing anything. Right.
Mm-hmm.
I was on the computer doing some online courses or whatever, kind of waiting for them to come in and out and tell me what was going on. And I told the bosses, right? I told the maintenance control for aviation guys, maintenance control, they're the nerve center of all the stuff that gets done for the enlisted guys. And I had them come in one time and they were both upset. They're like, you know what? I know you said it's going to be this way, but you're just doing nothing. We're doing all the work and you're doing nothing, this, that, and the other. And I won't stand for it. I was like, I know you guys feel that way today. I understand exactly how you feel that way, but trust me when I say that this is the path and it will be revealed to you in time, which is a hard thing to do. It's a hard thing to hear and it's a hard thing to accept. And I left and they were essentially like, good riddance, glad that you're gone. And within the next 3 weeks, they both called me and said, I figured it out. I found out what it was that you're doing. You were letting us do the work and fail while you were still here to bail us out. Because after you left, we didn't skip a beat. We were able to do and run and accomplish everything that we were doing when you were here, but we're doing it with us in charge, and there's been no drop off. And we really appreciate you. Didn't appreciate it while it was happening, but now that you're gone, it makes so much sense. And we're so glad you did it that way because we didn't have to learn the hard lessons on our own.
Well, that reminds me of something I talk about, and I've done a couple of talks on and shared with people, and that's the trust triad. As a leader in leadership, you have to have these 3 trusts. You have to trust yourself. You have to believe in who you are, believe that the decisions that you make are the best decisions you can make in the moment with the information that you have in that moment when you have to make that decision. Number 2 is you have to trust your team to do the job that you hired them to do. Otherwise, why are they there? If you hire somebody to do a job, let them do their job. Don't do the job for them. Don't show them how to do the job. Don't spend all your time doing the job for them. Let them do the job you hired them to do. And when those 2 are in place, the 3rd one comes into play, which is the team trusts you and your performance. They believe that every decision and action that you as the leader take has their best interests in mind for the team's success, not the individuals, not the leader, not that guy's just in it for himself. None of that. They believe that you as the leader have their best interests in mind. So you have to trust yourself, you trust your team to perform, and then when that happens, your team trusts you. So that's the trust triad.
Well, that sounds familiar because it's in your book, which I have read, and it's behind you. It's the Enable Your Team's Success. And we all got a copy.
Hey. And I don't have any more, which is good.
Despite all the shit Otis talks about me, I'm sitting here. I found his Facebook page. I got the hat and the book on tap for this episode because even though I don't wake up as early as he does, I'm still prepared.
There you go.
Oh, wow. Rub.
I don't leave my hats in Canada, I'll tell you that much.
Wow.
Oh, Carol's book.
Oh,
I already put it back on the shelf because I finished it. If you don't know, if you haven't picked up a copy yet, Carol has her book, The Elegant Disruptor, available on Amazon. And I see it right there on my bookshelf because I read it the first day I got it. It's a quick read, 90-ish pages. Cool. And it had a lot of familiar things in it, if you know what I mean. So Otis, I love talking about triumph and purpose and the things that you've done. What did it take to get there? Because you weren't always the lieutenant colonel. You weren't always a Green Beret. You weren't always leading LTO, Listen to Otis. You weren't always hosting the Cam and Otis show. You had to go through some stuff in order to become the person that you are today. What kind of shit did you have to go through to get here?
Well, 25 years in the Army, there was a lot of shit that I went through.
Yeah, you had me at Army right there.
Yeah.
Well, and then let me ask you one question further. What led you to the Army? I mean, did you already know you wanted to go in the Army when you were younger?
No, what led me to the Army was not being able to fly, truthfully. There it is.
Oh,
I was, I grew up in, and you can hear this part of the story also when you look up my TEDx. But I grew up in the shadow of a strategic air command base, and my dad designed fighter jets. So all I ever wanted to do growing up was be a fighter pilot. And my freshman year in high school, I told Dad that, and he said, "You can't do that because you wear glasses. And the last thing you want to do is go in the Air Force and not be a pilot." And I said, "All right, next best thing, Army."
Let's be honest. The next best thing is not the Army, but go ahead.
wow.
It worked out for me. Yeah. So, and then Dad convinced me that I should go to college because, similar reasons. I don't remember the exact reason, but you should be a commissioned officer. It's a better pay, better career, those sort of things. Because I told him I wanted to have a career in the Army. I went to A&M, did everything I ever wanted to do at A&M, up until the point that the Army decided that I should do what they wanted me to do. All I ever wanted to be at A&M was an airborne ranger, an infantry officer, and the Army decided I should be an engineer. So that was the first one. That was a huge disappointment in a room full of all of my classmates, fighting back. I don't know if I was fighting back tears. I was probably more pissed off than crying and feeling sorry for myself. I was pissed off is what it really was. And so the Army wouldn't change it. Went in the Army as an engineer. And then while I decided I would show the Army, because I discovered that there's a thing called Green Berets. I think I'd already heard about Green Berets, but I didn't know how you became one. I discovered how to become one. So I volunteered to become a Green Beret so I wouldn't have to worry about being an engineer. Did that, had some unbelievable opportunities. My first 4 years as a operational detachment alpha team leader, and taking my teams into some really some shitty places and some really awesome places like Switzerland, winter warfare training for 6 weeks in Norway. I mean, and then shitholes like Haiti, Bosnia, Kosovo, those sort of things. But after my team time, I had to pay the piper, because that's the way the military works. If you have fun, you got to pay it back. Somewhere somebody understands that. And the job that I had in DC, I was ready to quit. I was seriously looking at, I was trying to figure out what's the right form to use to resign from my commission, resign from the Army, get out. It was that bad of an experience. It's also where I learned that there's no separation between work and home life. It's all life. That was my first experience with that. My wife, Miss Suzanne, talked me off the ledge, quite literally. And why don't we see if we can get back to the unit? And because you know it was really good for you, you really enjoyed that. Let's see if we can just get back there, meaning here in Colorado. And I was like, fine, fine. You know, I won't.
Just like a reluctant child.
Yeah, that's pretty much fine. We'll see. And I got back here, and yeah, that made up for it and kept me going, because I got a lot more. I had still some shitty things, but got to do some really pretty cool stuff. Those next however many years that was, 9-10 years. And then, yeah, like I mentioned earlier, that's kind of where my plan ended, was when I got out of the Army. I had no plan. So, yeah.
That's interesting. That happens, I think, in a lot of people's careers, especially in the military. I know that for me, I was really wanting to become a Navy chief once I finally got into a service that let me in. Let's be honest. Uh, and I was fighting for it and fighting for it and fighting for it and working my tail off. And then this officer program thing came up as an option, and I applied to this thing, and huge slog, 4 years, getting through to college, and then getting into flight school, and then finally getting the wings. Like, it's a journey, it's a struggle. And then when I got it, I was like, well, that's it. I accomplished all my goals. And like, now what do I do? And you flounder, you're withering on the vine, trying to figure out what the next thing is. And, it's, you got to have the right people. You got to have the right tribe around you if you want to get directed to the right, what's the word? Purpose.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Well played. Well played.
Oh my God, Travis.
But my end of Army career was very similar. It was like I can do this same sort of job that I was doing in other places, but it's not going to be any different. And
just different scenery.
Yeah,
different people.
Yeah, I was like, that's not what I want to do. I want to continue to grow and move on and take on new challenges. Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you work with clients one-on-one, or do you do teams, or what exactly do you do in that perspective?
We do group coaching. We're I guess what I really should say, to be straight up, is we're transitioning to group coaching. We've got our Power Tribe, which is focused on veteran business owners. Be starting our Green Beret only Power Tribe next month, which I'm pretty excited about, because I know there's talk about no slack between me and Travis. Whew, that'll be like being back in the team room.
So is this purely for military only, like veterans, and or is it
that one, the Green Beret one, yes, is going to be just for Green Berets, but the Power Tribe concept is for anybody. We focus, you asked what I focus on, and that's small business owners that are veterans, but it is business owners that, and business leaders, executives that are hit a plateau, struggling, wondering, am I doing this right? Is this who I am? Is this still what I want to do? Is this who I want to be? Are these who are kind of that same feelings I was describing with myself? The other thing I'm really excited about what we're doing is we're kicking off Know Your Tribe. So you mentioned my podcast with Camden, my son, who we've been doing the Cam and Otis show now for 3+ years. Well, he's also part of Tribe and Purpose, and Camden is kicking off Know Your Tribe right around the same time in end of July, beginning of August. And Know Your Tribe is focused on early career people that have gone through 4 years of college, whether they're in debt or not, and kind of taking that first job, and they're going, is this all there is to life? Is this who I want to be in life? Is this how I want to do it? And do I want to continue to do this? Is this my life that I want to pursue? I don't understand, or I need some guidance. I want to be part of something that is bigger than myself. And that's where Know Your Tribe comes in. So I'm really excited about that. That's going to be, I can just envision what that might have been like for me 30 years ago, and to have that kind of group and that kind of focus, and knowing what it is I really want to do.
Don't you wish that you had something like that back in that day? Because I know for me, I went and got a job, and that's just what we were conditioned. I almost felt like we were groomed that this was the right way to go.
Yeah, and I've had that conversation with Dr. Gruder this morning. We had him on our show, and we were talking about that, and this attitude, what our whatever the name is, the K through 12 education system that we have.
Elementary school.
Yeah, well, K through 12, all the way through high school.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Is all about pushing you to go to a university. right? And if you don't go to some sort of college, you're a failure in life. And how messed up that is, because that's, like you said, I mean, that's the culture we've created, is you got to go to college, and then as soon as you're done with college, you got to get a job. And guess what? You don't have to do that. If it don't work, doesn't work for you. But that's part of what Know Your Tribe is going to help people understand, those that have already taken those steps, is they don't have to stay in that path. You know, the corporate gigs, not that working for a corporation is wrong. If it's the right fit and it's the right culture for you and has the right values aligned with your values, that's what it boils down to. So
yeah, I mean, the education system isn't broken. It's doing exactly what it was designed to do: create people intelligent enough to get the job done on a factory floor and generate taxes without asking too many questions. So it's been successful for what it was designed for, but it's no longer serving the greater humanity or greater purpose. When, I don't know how it was for you all in school, but you only really get one point of view, and then you end up being taught by people that were cultivated by that system without a lot of interjection. And then you go into Congress and you look at a group of people that has the power, and they definitely don't want to teach you how to get outside of that, outside of their control. So it's a never ending loop of, you're just going to keep getting what you always got, because the people in charge that have the power to change it, they're not going to change it because it benefits them. The ones inside the loop aren't going to change it because they don't know that they're stuck in the loop. It's really hard to read the warning label when you're stuck in the box.
Yeah. Very true. Very true. You know, as you were describing that, it reminds me of the education system in Uganda. And the reason is because
that's what I was thinking too.
Yeah, well, here's what's really interesting is Uganda was a colony of Great Britain, right? And they had an oppressive education system to squash free thought, problem solving. And what's interesting is, even though Uganda has is no longer a colony of Great Britain, the education system and the way that they teach is exactly the same. I had a guy that worked for me there that he was 100%. He would do exactly as you said, going back to the problem solving that we're talking about earlier. If I gave him $200, said, I need you to go to the store to buy this water valve, he would go to the store, buy that water valve, give me the 3 pennies that were left over or whatever, right? But if he went to that store and they didn't have that water valve, he would just come home. He wouldn't say, oh, well, this valve, what other valves do you have? Will this one work? Is this one going to be suffice? No, he would not solve the problem, not come up with a solution. He would drive all the way back home and then call me up and said, hey, they didn't have it. Really, Jeffrey? I mean, I love him to death. He's still, every so often, we still get in contact with each other. But it's like, dude, did you ask them if they had anything else that might work? No, you said we needed this one.
So
interesting. Yeah.
I'm going to admit here fully, that is exactly how I operated when I first joined the military. I only went to do exactly what they said to do, and I didn't have the wherewithal or the mentorship or anything else other than to do exactly what the thing was. I didn't know how to ask the important questions or to understand really the goal of what was trying to be done until somebody told me. It took years of mentorship from other people, reading, listening to different things to even get the idea that what I had been shown and taught and programmed with wasn't all that there was. I've been that exact person. I was the Jeffrey in your story when I first got in. If I reached out to people, I know some people I still talk to that knew me in my first command, and I tell them what I'm doing now, they're like, no way, because the person they knew couldn't possibly do the things that I'm talking about. They only remember me from that point, that singular point in my story arc of growth and up and downs and anything else. They only remember me from that one point in time, that one spot in my growth. So many times we cast people off that are different stages of their own evolution.
Yeah.
And we don't have time for them at that stage. And there's nothing necessarily, right or wrong about that. But we forget that people have an evolution, that have an arc, and we all learn different things at different times. I remember being a financial consultant, personal financial planner, helping people with some things in my 20s and 30s, talking to people in their 50s and 60s that hadn't learned the lesson yet, because there's no magic formula. There's no like, all right, by 22 years and 4 months, you should know exactly this amount of stuff and be able to apply it. There's no rule book. There's no formula. There's no thing. I am a fantastic navigator. My wife, even though we lived in Oklahoma City for the better part of 20 years, navigates her way to the mall and back because she simply wasn't imbued with that particular gift. Fortunately, in today's day and age, we have GPS. But back in the 80s and 90s, when we were, doing our stuff like...
You had a Thomas guide. That's what you had.
You knew it, or you had a map. That was the only options. You bought an atlas or a map at the gas station, or you already knew the way. Only option. You couldn't Google it. There was no GPS to plug it into. Like you had the skill, you had the map, you had the knowledge, or you had to rely on somebody else to get you there.
Or you got lost. Let's just put it that way.
My wife called me. She's going to kill me when she hears this. She called me. Here's her exact words. This is before smartphones. She calls me, say, hey, babe. She's like, where am I?
Oh, God. Oh, God.
I don't know, babe. I don't know how to help you. I was like, where are you? She's actively driving as she's doing this. This is like, the old Nokia, push the button phone.
The flip phone?
Yeah. I don't even think it was a flip phone. I think it was the generation before that because we were cheap or poor or both. And she's driving around. I was like, well, you got to tell me what streets you're on. And she's naming all these little streets. For those of you who don't know, Oklahoma City is essentially a gigantic grid. It's a 1 by 1 mile grid, runs the span of like 10 cities in the metro area. You can get on Western and drive through like 5 cities in one straight shot. And it's a big grid. So she's naming all this stuff, but she's naming all like the streets in between. And I'm like, you got to give me a major one. And she tells me, and I was like, oh, you're great. You're between a bunch of interstates. Pick a direction and go, and you'll get on one, and I'll get you home. She's on the only part that doesn't have a direct on ramp, and she drives through that. She's like, now I'm really lost. Like this, this stuff happens. But if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. What I want to finish up with, Otis, is I got to ask you, where's the one place you want people to find you at?
Tribe-purpose.com.
Tribe-purpose.com.
Go to tribe-purpose.com. A lot of info there. Click the get started button. Sign up for Monday Moments newsletter. Love sharing that, kicking your week off with a stoic quote and something I learned.
Yeah, I get those in my inbox every weekend, and or every day, and when I wake up at 10, I delete them.
Oh, geez.
After I read them, you didn't let me finish. How would you jump to that kind of conclusion? Otis, do you have any parting words for us to help the audience?
Parting words of wisdom, yes.
Become a Titan like you are?
If you live with intention and pursue your purpose, you'll always be happy. But if you try to live what you think other people want you to do, who other people you think other people think that you should be, you'll never be happy. You'll never be satisfied. You'll always be frustrated. You'll always be behind. So figure out what success looks like for you and live in pursuit of that success. Life's a lot better that way.
Agreed.
Thanks again, Otis, for being our guest today, even though there's no love lost between us.
Can you lose something you never had?
Oh! Yeah.
Ouch!
We're going to end it right there. End of show.
That's all for this episode of Titan Evolution Podcast. We hope this no-holds-barred conversation opened your eyes on what it takes to live a genuinely happy life according to your own terms. Now that you've treated yourself to such a refreshing discussion, you cannot listen to nonsense content anymore. Be sure not to miss an episode by subscribing to the show at TitanEvolutionPodcast.com. Don't forget to share the word so more people can be enlightened, informed, and entertained. Thank you for listening.